Yo, what's up, guys? The Insane. No, god damn it! God damn it! What's up, guys? Terrell here on Terrell Game Vlogs, and here to bring you Sket Dance episode 64 review. Sket Dance, we had to do that! I know this is like 2 days late, and the reason why is because one, I went out last night. Well, technically it was a night ago, because it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't get back until like 1 a.m. and I was just too tired. And then today, well, yesterday, I woke up, had to work, and then I came back and I kind of dicked around with the Anime Expo announcements and all the crazy shit that's been going down with that. And now we're at now, which is like the beginning of Saturday, and it's like, record the review! Do it! So that's what this is, me recording the review. So this is the final part, the School Rhapsody, and a funny skit related scene called Quest Dance at the end of this episode. To kind of cut the bullshit in the sense that it's really fun. It's not as funny because there's no extra jokes they're throwing in there, but it's still pretty fucking funny. Like, for example, the beginning of the episode is fucking Shinzo wearing nothing but like a loincloth, doing like random shit in the in the snow outside the ski while like Bosun and fucking Himiko are like building a mini snowman. And like, I guess the running joke is that almost everybody can tell that there's something off between Bosun and Himiko, as if they would already know that them niggas have switched bodies. And then ironically they're like they're like fucking they run into Daisy and them, and Shinzo once again is hating on Daisy and Mina. Well, technically her name is Minarine, but I just call her Unyu because Unyu sounds like a more of an original name. And there's a lot of random funny scenes, but I guess I should skip to the meat of the meat of this episode, because if I spend my whole time on the comedy, nothing will get done. And I think last week's was like ridiculously long. The whole point is that due to circumstances, and by the way, that whole him looking for a mouse doll, the Chupi mouse doll for Momoka, I didn't realize that was a canon. I didn't realize that was actually a thing. I thought he was lying in order to spy on them. He was being serious. Apparently, he's going out of his way to find this doll from Momoka, and obviously, Himiko Bosun is making the joke that, could it be you and Momoka? Ha ha ha, which gets it a lot this arc. Because he got that with even, what's the otaku dude? I think his name is Otarakun. Because he was spying on Saaya again, hanging out with Captain and the old girl. And he's like, wait a minute, you and Saaya, could it be? It's like, wow, this is like the third time you've been like thrown into a relationship without your permission. Tsubaki's still a cat. I like that whole Daisy thing at the beginning where it was like, shut up now, nya. Like, she actually picked up that quirk of saying nya after all of her sentences, so it was kind of funny. And then we actually, and I was surprised, this arc actually does get its own arc-specific song, which it comes in the middle of the episode instead of the end, but that's because of the skit at the end. The middle of the episode, essentially what happens is that Yabasawa asks Himiko to go take a picture, so for some reason, fucking Himiko and Bosun's body is so paranoid about Bosun and Himiko's body touching people. When it's like, Bosun hasn't really been known to be a perverted character, so that seemed kind of weird that she was that paranoid about it. Mind you, she did but then again, I'm assuming the bathroom scene would have probably made that a little bit more logical, but once again, I'm probably going to go read the manga chapters of this before I actually, later. So she has to go take the picture with the rest of the girls, and Switch is being held off by Yuki and Tsubaki, because Tsubaki actually has the doll he's looking for, while Yuki is just nagging the shit out of him, because Yuki does that whole thing where she's like, are you really Bosun? So like Switch drags her away, so she's not like figuring out anything, and then she gets distracted by Tsubaki, which leaves Himiko Bosun wide open for Saaya to come in and be like, can I talk to you for a minute? And this is actually where they put in the character song. Really what it boils down to is, what I thought was Saaya's confession isn't really a confession. What it is Saaya asks Bosun about Himiko and what he feels about her. You kind of get this little internal dialogue with Himiko where she's like, how the fuck does he feel about me? And he's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know anything about Bosun all of a sudden. Which I'm thinking she means romantically, not actually like knowing, because you know a decent chunk. Well, does she? She knows his backstory, but that was something new. Did she know before? I don't know. No, she did. They knew before because they met. Because Boss's mom knew her during the whole happy birthday thing. Um, so she has the internal dialogue. She kind of does the I don't have any particular feelings for her kind of thing, and then she like mildly insulted herself because she figured that's what Boston would have done. And then you see Saaya sitting over there, and then she does this thing that it seems like every girl tends to do, where like their brain is saying you should stop talking, but for some reason they're still talking. So she instead of just letting it go from there, she actually pursues it and goes, "How do you feel about me, Saaya?" as Boston, and you see her in the back of their mind going, "What am I saying? Boston wouldn't say that." And then you kind of get Saaya's whole little dialogue. Saaya, I kind of like the way Saaya addressed it, and it makes a lot more sense now than what the thing I'm about to bring up. Saaya's answer, in a nutshell, is, "I have no idea, but you are on my mind," and that kind of made more sense. We also, and that's where we get the character song with Saaya, where it's like, I felt kind of outcast in my own class, and it's like not like they rejected me or anything, but it's like this personality kind of made me feel a lot of awkward. So it's just like you get this like random a whole bunch of clip shows with Saaya. It's like it's literally like a Saaya song in the middle of the episode, which I did enjoy the song. I thought the song was pretty good. I liked it. But here's the thing. For you anime only watchers, and I found this out, and you don't have to read the chapters to figure this out. If you look at the order of the chapters when Saaya is introduced, it's literally like I think it's called Enter the Twin Tail Girl. She's introduced, and everyone knows Sket Dance episodes are split like into 2 chapters, so like 2 chapters per episode, unless it's an arc like this, and then it's like more, it's like probably like 3 chapters. Saaya's introduction is a chapter. Hosuke's introduction is a chapter, and they're right after each other. And this is literally how the order goes for Saaya. Saaya's introductions, Hosuke's introduction, some Tsubaki-related side story, and then School Rhapsody. And here's the thing I was going to bring up. How in the fuck did the manga fans buy that Saaya had like a realistic crush on Blossom? Because she was only in 2 chapters before the arc. Before the arc, she was only in the anime. That would have made even less sense because she would have been in her introduction anime episode, which is episode 52, which would have been that episode, and then she would have been in Skip, School Rhapsody, and School Rhapsody Part 2. In the total, she would have been in 4 freaking episodes that they did it like the manga, which is why I think Saaya is spread across randomly throughout the episodes, because this would have made a lot less sense, or you wouldn't have been able to buy it if she wasn't around, because that would have made no sense. She's introduced in 52, and then she reappears in like 61. That would have made no fucking sense. Which is, well, would it be 61? No, 62. She would have been reintroduced in 62, and it would have been like, the fuck? Because she's not in any of these other chapters. These other chapters that you keep seeing her in, like anything between 53 to like 61, she was not in. She technically wasn't in. Because half of these chapters are actually before her introduction. And it's because of Sket Dance's way of doing things. You wouldn't be able to tell that unless someone told you. So for any manga fan, did any manga fan really buy that she had a crush on him? Because it's like, she was literally in like maybe 2 chapters before this arc. And it's like, why would you write it like that? Like, that's just a pet peeve. Because it's like, no manga fan's going to buy that crush after 2 chapters. I also heard in the Sket Dance manga, they don't necessarily bring back characters as much as they are in the anime. Like, I think the anime throws them in a lot more often, which, for me personally, works for me. And I wonder if Gintama's the same way. Like, I wonder if the Gintama characters reappear as much as they do in the anime, or if that's just something extra. But I don't really mind. But that was just something I wanted to throw out, because that was what bugged the shit out of me when I first saw that. But anyways, that's kind of Saaya's mini confession. I don't even think we see Switch at all after this. Because what happens next, and we get to the kind of famous, it was in the opening, him, Boston, and Himiko sleeping together. And this kind of was, essentially, both of the characters couldn't sleep the night before, because Himiko was tied up, and Boston is sleeping in a boy's body, in a boy's room, at night, alone, just with her thoughts. So that wasn't gonna work. So apparently the logic is we'll sleep in Chusan's room in separate futons. So Chusan is still depressed because of taking that demotivation pill. But there's only one futon, so they end up sharing a futon, and that's how the famous sleeping together scene is. Uh, the only issue I have is if it was that awkward, Boston could have just offered to sleep on the floor. Like, it would have killed him. But then again, Himiko would have been pissed if you made Himiko sleep on the fucking floor. Like, if you made her body sleep on the floor. So they made them both sleep on the futon. And during this, we also have another scene where Himiko surprisingly tells Boston everything that happened. I don't know. That's the one thing I always will appreciate about Sket Dance. The characters are so fucking open with each other. Like, no bullshit. I know most animes would not have your characters be this open with each other. These characters are insanely open with each other about everything. I don't think have these characters even really. I think Himiko's lied to Boston like once, and that was during the Jin romance bullshit. Like 90% of the time, Himiko tells Boston everything, and that's what she did. Told Boston everything, and I think essentially all that happened after that is that it's like this nice little scene where like it kind of shows how more social Saaya is, and then she crashes into the Sket Dance while they're riding a snowboard, and there's like this little nice little scene where they're like holding hands, and I mean not holding hands, but like they're helping her back up because the whole Boston Himiko thing in the sleeping bag was really just her explaining everything, and then like maybe Boston starting to actually start thinking about the whole concept of romance because it was like she's like, "Do you have any feelings for Sai?" And she's like, "She's a tsundere girl, but that's about it." It's like, no, as a girl, and it's like. I don't have any special feelings for her. And then she explained it, and she was like, "Would you have answered the same way if I had said when she asked you about Himiko?" And it's like, "Yeah, probably." So, but then again, I have never thought about it before, and that was the whole thing. There's also like a random shot where I think they're both naked for like a split second, and it confused the shit out of me. Not like it was like full body naked, but it looked like they were naked from like the shoulder up. Considering in the scene before, you saw them wearing clothes. And then you have Switch narrating going. So everything kind of went back to normal. They make another random joke at the end of this arc where Tsubaki's still acting like a cat when they get back to school, and Sketch, wow. Boston is in Chusan's body, right? Yeah, Boston's in Chusan's body. Himiko is still in Boston's body, and Chusan is in Himiko's body. Yeah, I think I got that right. And it was just like a random gag scene, and then you had like the Tsubaki cat crap, and then the episode kind of ended. It was like nothing really changed. It's like nothing, no huge monumental changes, but there are probably just some small ones in all of us. And then the last scene is like that whole three-way thing where you see like Bosun, Himiko, and Sai standing at opposite paths, probably meaning that this whole subplot of who. If Boston actually has a crush on somebody or the relationships are actually going to grow, we still have room for that. And through the arc, I enjoyed the arc as a whole. I think the arc is funny. I enjoyed it. I'm probably going to read the manga version because I know the manga version has a few scenes that I would have loved to see in the anime, but obviously the whole censorship bullshit, they wouldn't let them do it, which kind of ruins the main comedy of the arc. The main comedy of the arc was the whole fact that they were doing ridiculous shit. Without that ridiculous ass comedy, it just turns into very stereotypical shit, which is kind of sad in retrospect. But that's why you had Roman troll us for like that for Skull Rhapsody Part 1. Now we get to Quest Dance. And Quest Dance is actually just a pretty simple premise. You have One-san and like Captain as like the barmaids, and then you have like Switch, Bosun, Himiko, Any. I don't want to call him Any. Enigman, Saaya. Am I missing one? No, yeah. Boston, Switch, Himiko, Saaya, Enigman, and Tsubaki. You have those 6. Apparently, it's like a Dragon Quest parody, and they're gonna go fight this dragon. And then like they had to tell Raimi Osan what they want their jobs to be, like what class of characters they want to be, and then they're gonna go to an Agata rep off who's gonna change their jobs. Unfortunately, because it's One-san, she gets everything wrong, and it's like the choices turn into fucking Achan, dancer, farmer, what was it, like pea farmer, slime, magician, monk. I think that was it. That was it. And so now they had to go through the process of figuring out who's gonna do what. I think Switch ends up being the fuck, and it's actually a really funny scene. It's just like them going through like the process of elimination. Like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? Like, so Switch just ends up taking like the fucking magician because he's like, if I get the best job, the quickest, I'm good. So Switch is the magician. Saaya is the dancer. And Nickman is Oddchan because his real name is actually begins with an A, so it worked out for that. Tsubaki is the monk. And I like how they almost can't. They figure out what Tsubaki's doing. It's like you just picked that so you don't, because you knew it would come down to like the slime and something else, and you didn't want to be that. And that's what it was. And then through a stroke of hilarity, Boston and Himiko end up being like the farmer and the slime. And Boston ends up being the slime, meaning Himiko's the farmer. And it was hilarious because he's like, I suck at rock, paper, scissors, which was like the running joke. Because that was what happened. Like, they were afraid Agata were going to fuck them up, so they all play rock, paper, scissors to see who would get their job changed first. And Boston lost. That was the running joke. So I thought that was pretty funny. Now, we're almost at like, I'm just probably going to go into 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and go into it. The preview will be in the description for you to look at. I think the preview is actually something that is split into like there are two different episodes in the sense that there were two different chapters. I haven't read the chapters, but I know that there are chapters that focus on like sister and brother relationships. And I know this next one focuses on like Tsubaki and Balsun and Saaya and Agata, meaning that they won't let the Saaya shit go. But it makes sense because if they're going into the arc I think they're going into, we're about to get introduced to two other characters mixed with a holy fuck ending for this next set of episodes. Why? Because there's only one other arc I know of they can do. And that particular arc revolves around the student council, which would make perfect sense, which kind of makes me wonder why you didn't just say the Tsubaki and Daisy stuff for that. But then again, it kind of works here because you threw Saaya in. We got to see the deer head, and it was hilarious. Also, it probably means we're getting opening 6 pretty soon, so we should look forward to that because they usually do that every 13 episodes. They switch the openings. So next week, we have a Balsun, Saaya, Tsubaki, Agata episode. And that's good because we haven't really seen Agata do anything, really. Like, Agata had, like, that badass introduction with the whole Pixie Garden thing. And then he kind of just... He doesn't... See, the problem is Sket characters don't really float into the background, but you could kind of say that's what he did. He kind of floated into the background and kind of just chilled in his middle ground. And then when Saaya was introduced, he became a little bit more of a forefront man because you saw Agata a lot more. Like, he's actually in some of the episodes that randomly throw Saaya in. So they, like, randomly throw Saaya and Agata in. Like, the Defeat the Fortune Teller. Only Tsubaki is the only student council member that should have been in that episode. But they threw everyone else in too, along with Saaya, because they had Shinzo do the whole, oh, you like Boston, blah, 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 blah. But the episode, I mean, the arc in itself was fine. I enjoyed it. I kind of hope the Sket Dance manga or anime gets licensed because I do want to own one of them. I also want to own a Boston hat for the love of God. But I cannot find one to save my fucking life, and it's lame. Cat. So that's essentially it. I'm about at 20 minutes. So this has been the Vlogs Game from your boy Terrell. Tell me what you guys thought about School Rhapsody. Do you prefer the manga or the anime version? And I guess next week we have more family-related fun. Because it kind of correlates perfectly. You have Saaya, who has a mild crush on Balsun, who is brothers to Tsubaki, who is the vice president under Agata, who is the older brother of Saaya. It comes full circle. I know there's supposedly supposed to be another one with Rumi, my bad. Rumi and Balsun. So I wonder if that's going to be like the second half of this episode, or maybe that's me just over-exaggerating things. But for anyone who wants to know, if anyone knows what I'm referring to, and I haven't even read this next arc, But I know this next arc has something to do with student council because, well, I know the result of the arc. I know what happens by the end of the arc, and you'll probably guess it when the other characters are introduced. If that arc is what is coming up next. My question is, how the fuck are they gonna make that? What are they gonna do for the other 2 seasons? Because unless there are 2 other arcs and I don't know about, because this is the only other arc I know of that should be coming next. Is this whole? I believe the chapters are called Solitude. I believe that's the next arc. So what are they gonna do for the next 2? Because I'm betting Sket Dance will probably take a break after the second year because they're covering 2 chapters per episode on top of the multiple chapters they covered during arc episodes. So, anyways, I've rambled enough, so let's stop it here. So this has been the Vlogs again from your boy Terrell, and I will catch you guys later. Sket Dance was so awesome. Peace.